If no one knows how amazing your products or services are, then how can you make money from it? That is why you should hurry now with your jingles, special announcements, religious programs, political programs, and more. And let's take them directly to your target audience, as Super 93.3 FM PH is open for business. That's exactly right. Just walk into our commercial office located downtown at number 56 Agri Road by Sokoto Junction, Port Harcourt, or simply call our marketing sales rep on 091 5729 0709. Again, 091 5729 0701. Super 93.3 FM PH. We guarantee your satisfaction. Super 93.3 FM PH brings to you Kiddies Radio. Oh yes! Kiddies Radio is a fantastic show specially designed for children 5 years and above. It is very educational, inspiring, and informative. Not to forget all the fun in between. That's right, Kiddies Radio comes up every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Super 93.3 FM Port Harcourt with Obi Ivy. For advert placement and sponsorship, please call 091 5729 0709. Again, 091 5729 0709. Kiddies Radio, one more reason to love Saturdays.
Tired of the lies? Tired of the spin? Are you ready to hear the hard-hitting truth in a comprehensive, conservative, and principled fashion? Point Blank on Super FM 93.3 brings you all the news you need to know. Real conversations, real news, and one-on-one interviews with some of the most intriguing names in River State, South Nigeria, and the country today. Unbiased analysis the way you wish still existed.
They're damaging the economy of the country. I'm not bothered about whether federal government is supporting us or not. Because if you cannot protect the lives of your people, then there's no governance.
From the news that dominates the headlines to the important topics below the fold, left, right, and center busts the opinion bubbles and echo chambers with genuine discussion and real talk.
Out of $500 million that President Goodluck Jonathan borrowed for Abuja Kaduna. At the time I was speaking, we were paid over 100 and something million out of the $500 million.
Tune into Point Blank with Shegan Awolabi every Saturdays 8:15 a.m. on Super 93.3 FM. Point Blank, civilized yet provocative.
Hello and good morning to you. Thank you so much for always staying with us on Point Blank. Point Blank is a news and current affairs program on Super 93.3 FM Port Harcourt. And this program airs Saturdays. And of course, this is one moment we look at issues relating to our politics, from politics down to education, and of course, all human angle stories. And thank you for always joining us. And this week's edition is going to be a very interesting one. And again, why is this quite interesting? Statistics from the just concluded continued voters registration exercise nationwide have shown that there is a large number of young people, youths, as registered voters in the just concluded continued voters registration exercise. And these statistics, which have been published by the Independent National Electoral Commission, has indicated that in the states and nationwide, there are more young people between the ages of 18 to 34, which constitute the largest registered voters. But the question is, are these young people between this age group ready to make the necessary change? For example, in River State, we have about 473,000 new registered voters, and of this number, the highest category of people is those between the age of 18 to 34. We will be asking this morning on Point Blank, these people in this category, are they ready to make the needed change in the governorship and other elections in River State? Again, one key challenge that young people in River State face, well, not necessarily in River State alone, but one key challenge is the issue of unemployment. How will unemployment be a big challenge in ensuring youth participation in the coming election in River State. And don't forget, August 12th is always recognized as the International Youth Day. So on Friday, youth will be celebrating the International Youth Day, and one key questions amongst Nigerians that will be asked amongst the youth is, will the youth make the needed change in the 2023 election? Will the youth make their numbers count this time in the elections in River State? And that's the question. And of course, we thank you for joining us as we'll be looking at this issue, and we have our guests already seated. My name is Segun Olabi. Thank you for staying with us. This is Point Blank.
Are you ready to hear the hard-hitting truth in a comprehensive, conservative, and principled fashion? Point Blank on Super FM 93.3 brings you all the news you need to know. Real conversations, real news, and one-on-one interviews with some of the most intriguing names in River State, South Nigeria, and the country today. Unbiased analysis the way you wish still existed.
They're damaging the economy of the country. I'm not bothered about whether federal government is supporting us or not. Because if you cannot protect the lives of your people, then there's no governance.
From the news that dominates the headlines to the important topics below the fold, left, right, and center busts the opinion bubbles and echo chambers with genuine discussion and real talk.
Out of $500 million that President Goodluck Jonathan borrowed for Kano, Abuja, Kaduna. At the time I was speaking, we were paid over 100 and something million out of the $500 million.
Tune into Point Blank with Segun Awolabi every Saturdays 8:15 a.m. on Super 93.3 FM. Point Blank, civilized yet provocative.
Once again, thank you so much for joining us. This is Point Blank. In 2019, River State had 3.2 million registered voters. River State added 473,924 fresh voters, making the number 3.68 million voters in River State. Now, the interesting fact of all of this is that over 60% of the figure constitute young people between the age of 18 to 34. On Point Blank this morning, we shall be looking at that critical statistics, and we're asking, do they have a common front to make the needed change in the coming elections in River State? Are the youth together, by your expectation, to make that great demand from politicians? Is the political consciousness among the youth in River State huge for them to create that critical change? And what can we do to sensitize these young people between this age category? And my guests are already seated, and joining us this morning on Point Blank, I have with me Obinna Igbokidi. Obinna Igbokidi is a River State focal person, Yiaga Africa. Obinna, good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me.
And also joining us this morning is the State Chairperson, Campaign for Transformative Governance, CFTG, Comrade Sam Chikwere. Comrade Sam Chikwere, good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Sir Olabi.
And also I have Arochukwu Paul Ogbonna Esquire, the National Coordinator, Civil Rights Council. And good morning, Paul. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Shalom.
So we'll be having this discussion, looking at the recent statistics released by INEC, which indicated that young people may likely make the change in the coming election. And we'll be asking us, in the case of River State, are these young people even conscious of the power they wield? And also we'll be asking, will they make this number count? Now, don't forget, you can be part of all of our discussion. Join us live on our social media pages. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitter, and as well as on Instagram. On Facebook, it is Super 93.3 FM. On Twitter, it is Super FM 933. On YouTube, Super FM PH. On Instagram, Super FM 93.3. And also, you can call in live and join our conversation this morning on 070-5079-1021. That is 070-5079-1021 and 081-174-31021. And for those of you who would like to send us short SMS messages, or you want to record your voice and send it to us as a voice note, send it to this number, 090-59481-021. So once again, thank you so much for joining us. Now, Obinna, let me begin with you. Yiaga Africa has been at the forefront of monitoring situation of elections in Nigeria. And of course, even when we began this continued voters registration in Africa, you are one of the groups that insisted that the voters registration should continue until it was ended on July 31st. Now, we have the statistics, and I'm going to be staying with River State, and not that we don't have the statistics for all the part of the country. And of course, those that are interested in that should go to our social media pages, you see. But in River State, statistics from the Independent National Electoral Commission show that 473,924,000 new voters, 473,924 new voters.
Actually, those are new completed registration.
Yeah.
Yeah, not necessarily a new voters, because inside that figure you also have those who have just done the updates, those who have just done the transfers, and those who have requested for new cards. So from that figure, what we have as new of what you call fresh registrations are around the 273,000 in number.
And that's very key. But if you look at the age distribution, about 18 to 24, those within the ages of 18 to 24, you have 166,992. That's quite big. And if you put it together, you will discover that those between the ages of 18 to 34 constitute about 60-something% of the number. Again, is this surprising to you?
No.
Why no?
I'm not surprised at all. Because from the first quarter of the exercise, we saw the upsurge in the youth awakening. They took this process very, very seriously right from the beginning. And what we have experienced is some sort of reawakening of political consciousness, awareness, and a huge interest by youths to be a part of the political process in this country, and it's really interesting. So we are not surprised. We've seen this building even before the start of the CVR. Some of us would want to take this back to what happened in 2020, where youths gathered, across the country, and they were able to put themselves within a common front, to agitate about the situation of the country. So what we are seeing is just a transformation of that interest, that anger, into actual participation, and that is what has happened. But then beyond just the start of the CVR, we now saw an even increased interest, within the last quarter of the exercise itself, and this is completely unprecedented.
Well, fantastic. Very unprecedented. Again, when you look at the statistics, you will discover that apart from the youth who are between the ages of 18 to 35, the other number that has shown significant increase are those in the middle age. And that is another statement by Nigerians, and that statement could actually mean that they want to take their yearnings. But again, we can even do a further breakdown of the statistics, because from what we have from the Independent National Electoral Commission, it also showed us that those within the student populace, I think I'm correct with that, Obina, the students actually make a huge number. And interestingly, the statistics from River State show that we have more female voters registered than the male. Isn't that surprising?
I think this is a result of the sensitization, that's been put out there by several actors, over time. It's beginning to yield fruits. Because if you look at even the population of the country, the females, they have an edge, but somehow they have not been able to make this work, in the numbers during the elections. And so for some reasons, we are beginning to see a build-up in interest in these categories of Nigerians, the youths, and then the women. It would seem that these two categories are more of the receiving side, of the failures or inactions of government.
Again, would that also show the reason why in River State we have more students registering in the last concluded voters registration exercise in River State? The statistics show that topping the number are the students.
don't forget that.
Or is it because of ASU?
It is because of ASU. So you're having a protest action here, from the women, from the youths, and then from the students. Nobody is actually happy. So these are some of the factors, that beyond just the CVRO that may actually play out, contributed hugely to the proper voting in 2023. And that's why every stakeholder, from INEC to the politicians, the candidates themselves, they are not joking with these figures, because these figures will play a huge role in the outcome.
And that is actually the question. Will it play a huge role? Because right now in Rivers State we have about 3.68 million voters, with over 60% of them forming the bracket of 18 to 34. But again, these are also very serious group, in the sense that these people are impatient. They don't know how to sustain this kind of interest. When you say this will play a huge role, and this is where I would also want Barrister to come in here, Mr. Paul Arochukwu. Now, he has said, Obinna said, from the statistics we've seen so far, showing that the young people, particularly students, are the highest in the last concluded voters registration exercise. This shows they will play a huge role. Do you think they have the temperance? Do you think they have the patience to play that kind of role in election, given several factors? Because in the election, you must have the tenacity to stay. Well, what we have here are just mere statistics. Many of them have not collected their PVCs. Are we going to see them collect their PVCs in the coming days?
Well, Segun, you will agree with me that at no point in Nigeria have we had very robust and buoyant political discussion as is going on now. In fact, the situation has become so critical that the traditional primordial challenges of religion, ethnicity, and tribe is being somersaulted by a younger generation of Nigerians who are committed to make a change. The fact that the vulnerable section of the Nigerian population, the youths, that over time have not played significant role in politics, or that have taken advantage of their energy and their interests to play a significant role, has woken up suddenly and has gone to the extent of registering to vote. I think the same spirit will lead them to collect the PVCs. But one thing that is very significant with this section of the population is that they are the most informed. They are those who have easy access to technology. There are those who, over time, have been used as political talks to disrupt elections, and this time around, they are doing something different. They are not predisposed to disrupt elections. They are not predisposed to be used to subvert the electoral process. Rather, they now want to play a credible and responsible duty of doing their civic responsibility, voting. So,
Again, Barrister, if I may come in here, isn't this assumption? Because even in the past elections, we have seen images of young people on election day playing football, while those who stay on election lines are the adults, those which has been categorized as the elderly or old. Those are the ones that we saw there stay put there. And again, don't forget, with the new innovation by Independent National Electoral Commission, it would actually demand a huge participation of these young people. So again, your optimism, would it actually come to reality?
You see, Segun, it's an ongoing process. The campaign is an ongoing process. The fact that some young people were not conscious of the ongoings in the immediate environment during the immediate elections we saw, let us as well analyze the impact and influence of the young people in the same elections. And let us now reconcile it when there is more concerted effort to educate, to conscientize, and to inform those young people going forward. What will be their cumulative impact going forward? I'm optimistic and hopeful that if the campaign continues the way it is and the consciousness arises at the pace is going, I see, look, you see, the younger generation, the people we are referring to, I think one of their major concerns is on the general elections concerning the presidency.
Okay.
That is where I think that their focus is now. so much. Because
So they're not looking at what is going to happen in their local terrain, in their immediate environment, which is also very critical.
very, very critical. But from the analysis so far, because you see the issue about the presidency and the discussions about the presidency in the last few years have dominated the political space.
So
to the extent that most people do not even talk about what is happening in the states and in the local
And
government.
this is where you come in, because you see, your organization, I know your organization is doing a whole lot of sensitization to the nooks and crannies of River State, and we'll be talking to you about that. But just before then, Obina was smiling all through while we were talking. And Obina, if we look at the national statistics, which just 5 months before the 2023 election, and what we've seen so far is that INEC announced so far over 12 million, and about 8.7 million of the fresh voters are youths. And this is a very great concern. So the ball is in your court because you fall into that category. But again, what Barrister Joshua said to us is that, look, the concern here is for even the presidency. Many of them are not even interested in what's going on in the state or what's going on in the House of Assembly, House of Representatives. Is that a true reflection of the mindset of young people and situating that to River State?
That is not completely true. Because when you interact with some of those persons who went to participate in the CVR, yes, there is the issue of a huge interest in the presidency and the presidential election coming up in 2023. But there is a general political consciousness, awareness, reawakening that we are having. For instance, in River State, you just talked about discussions bordering on employment. There are sensitive issues that have now come to concern young people, and to an extent, young people are beginning to wake up to the fact that we could actually have a say, even also have our way in enthroning the kind of persons who would eventually become governors, who will become National Assembly members, who will become even the president, come 2023. There is the political consciousness. Now, I may not be able to...
Now, when you say political consciousness, what is
Yes.
the question first is, do they even have the ideology? Because you see, are they asking the right questions? Yes, they have the numbers, but are they asking the right questions?
I think they're beginning to, or we, because it's my generation, we are beginning to ask the right question. And I'm seeing a great impatience, on the part of my age group, over ineptitude, excuses from government officials. In fact, just last night I saw a video. A government official was addressing some youths, and when he appeared not to be making sense again, the youth just started to walk away. Guess where this happened? In River State. And this is what is happening, going into the election. Young people are crying for change. They are crying for a kind of government that will be able to deliver on promises. When they don't begin to see this, they grow impatient. And we're going to see this from what is already obtainable, from the numbers which you have read out. We're going to see this, play out.
Fantastic.
In the upcoming election. Now, I won't want to judge the current PVC collection data,
Yes.
just yet, because we had a greater participation of the youths, from even the third quarter, going into this final quarter. So now, up until October, INEC has said, okay, those who register from January this year up until July 31st should expect their own cards from the October and then November this year. Now, until those cards are released, they will be able to conclude if the youths have actually truly woken, because the bulk of the cards that you have with INEC now from the previous registrations, and then those who registered from June, then till December last year, but this massive rush for registration started sometime around April, May. Now, so what we are going to be tracking the number of those who show up, from that October, why we also encourage those who have already participated in the process and have their cards produced, to also go to pick up their cards.
And that's very, very critical, because I recall that the National Commissioner of INEC, that is Agbamu-Chimbu, May Agbamu-Chimbu, at a press briefing said Rivers State constitutes one of the lowest states when we have poor PVC collection. Again, statistics have shown to us that one of those who registered are the young people, but they are not collecting the PVCs, and that's a very big issue, and this is what Obinna is trying to point out to us. Now, Obinna will talk more about that, and we'll be looking at why this is happening. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Point Blank, coming to you from Super 93.3 FM Port Harcourt, and we're looking at, and we're asking the question this morning, will the youth make the figures from the just concluded PVC registration count in the coming election? As the 2023 general election draw near, it has emerged that young people between the ages of 18 to 39, I think that's the age category, constitute the highest number of registered voters. And again, for any election, for any politicians to be a winner, they must get the support of these young people. But we are asking a question this morning. These young people, do they really understand the power they carry? Do they have the ideology? Are they asking the right questions? Particularly here in Rivers State, where these young people constitute about 60% or above of the number of registered voters. Are they ready to participate in the election? And we are being joined by Obinna Igbokidi, who is the focal person for Yaga Africa. And also we have with us Comrade Sam Chikwere, who is the state chairman, Campaign for Transformative Governance, and Arochukwu Paul Ogbonna Esquire, who is the national coordinator, Civil Rights Council. But again, let me just quickly take from Sam Chikwere before we go to the telephone line. You have been campaigning for transformative governance. And again, you've been speaking to young people. You are having a town hall meeting, I think, next week in Ogba Igbem and Donny local government area. So tell us, what's the mindset of these young people all through your campaigning?
Okay, thank you, Shegun. Let me give me 2 minutes to give a background of a campaign for transformative governance. Sometime last year, after the pandemic, of course, you know that during the pandemic, most economies went down, including the economy of Nigeria. And so labor and the civil society organization came together to think of how to rescue Nigeria from corruption and how we think we can build our economy, because we are a critical stakeholder, workers are critical stakeholder in the economy. And so that coming together took place between 7th and 8th of March 2021 at Abuja. And the agenda is that the organized labor and civil society should work and pursue a common goal. And in doing that, the campaign for transformative governance was set up. The aim is to create political awareness.
So talking from the perspective of the young people, do they have this awareness? Now they have the number, but do they have the awareness?
Yeah, it's a new consciousness that we're introducing, and we have begun interaction with them. You can see from the report of the CRV collection registration, you see that more youths are involved because the awareness is there, the new consciousness is there. So right now, the youths are ready to engage the politicians, extract commitment from them, and that is the essence of the town hall meeting. So I can tell you that the youths are fully aware, and we may see surprises in the upcoming elections.
Well, again, that surprises. We'll see how we go. Again, don't forget, you can participate. We'll throw open the telephone lines for those who would like to join this discussion. And we're asking the questions. Do they have the political ideology? Yes, they have the number, and they can make the change. And it is quite clear to politicians that if they must win in the election, they must have the block vote of the young people. But again, are the young people making the demands? Do they really understand the powers they have? For example, in Rivers State, there is poor collection of PVC. And that shows that these young people who have registered are not even willing to collect the PVCs. So this is quite critical. Maybe before we go to the telephone line, Obinna, you're itching to make a point. You just quickly do that before we go to the telephone number.
Okay. One of the reasons we've had voter party
collection of PVCs.
Party as regards the collection of PVC, even from the last 2 quarters before January. It's because of trust.
Trust.
Yes. And it had also contributed, to the poor participation during the elections. Because like the figures you called out earlier, in 2019, we had over 3.2 million registered voters in the voters register. But the numbers of those who participated in actual election were not even up to 1 million at the end of the day. So, but what has happened between last year and now, it's this building of a trust on the Electoral Institute itself. To an extent, they are proving to not just youth now, but even to Nigerians that they are ready to deliver on elections that votes may actually count.
Okay.
And people are seeing that, they've seen that happen in Anambra, people have seen that happen in Ekiti, and most recent, they've seen that happen in Osun. So this is part of what is driving the interest, the huge interest, from these categories of people. And it now behooves on the Electoral Institute, like INEC, to be able to sustain this trust, that it has planted on the youth. Because before, yes, we've registered, but the question has always been, will our votes count? What is the use of coming to collect PVCs? When the votes are not going to count.
Now, we'll be looking at this issue of trust because it is very, very key. And I'll be speaking to Paul Ogbonna on that. Do you think the young people have trust? Of course, nationally speaking, following the just concluded continuing voters registration exercise, about 60% of total registered votes are young people between the age of 18 to 34. In Rivers State, it's about 60%, which is even more higher. But again, do they know what to do with that PVC? And do they know who to vote for? How can we begin to direct them appropriately? Let's take this call. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us. Point blank.
Good morning, Pastor Shegu.
Thank you for joining us. Good morning.
Shegu, my name is Kennedy. I'm calling from Port Harcourt.
Kennedy, good morning.
Shegu, a quick one. I dare to differ a little from all the guests you have in the studio. Yes, the youth have the numbers, but the sensitization amongst the youth is very poor. Now, Shegu, let me go down a little. The highest number of voters registration so far is among the female folks. So do you know why? Why? Because majority of them sees it as a means of identification and not the usefulness of it. Let's do it. You can go back and check number of females that are applying for driver's license, international passport, and also what. It's clean, it's zero. So they see the voters card as a means of getting out their money from the bank, as a means of doing their registration, and all the rest of them. They use that the student folks and the female folks, because majority of them have been robbed, so their voters card are not there. They want to get a new voters card so they can do their transactions for free. Majority of them wants to apply for this, but they don't have a valid means of identification. So I think what all the civil societies and political parties should do now is go on to do more of the sensitization awareness. Yes, the number is there, but let them look out for a means to make them utilize the cards, which is for each primary purpose to vote for a better Nigeria. Thank you, Shegu.
Well, fantastic, and a very valid point then made by Kennedy. Kennedy said one of the reasons he feels is because they just need the PVC for identification, and not necessarily because they want to vote in the election. Well, we'll look at that, but let's take another one. Good morning, and thank you for joining us. This is Point Blank.
Yes, Shegu, my brother, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I reach your guest in the studio. Morning, sir. Lugaman, calling from HA. Yeah, Shegu, you asked us question that do the youth know the importance they have in voting in this country or in this state? Yeah, Shegu, we have now known the importance we have in this state as long as voting is concerned. That is why I, Lugaman, took it as a point of duty to make sure I sensitize my people in Ward 16, Abok, Umoye, and HA in general. We have been sensitized, and most of our people have been mobilized to INEC offices to collect their PVCs. We are no longer going to carry ballot boxes anymore. We are going to vote for a candidate of our choice. Enough of this suffering we are having today, a government that we have that youth are not employed, youth are not empowered, youth are not being carried along. We are going to rewrite the wrong come 2023. I'm assuring you that youth of Rivers State have woken up and we are going to vote.
Well, thank you so much, Luca, man.
The government.
Thank you so much. Let's take this one. Hello, good morning, and thank you for joining us. This is Point Blank. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, Pastor Shegun.
Good morning, sir.
My name is Utiasa Christian.
Utiasa,
and
good
I've
morning.
listened to the discussion so far, and I have my fears. Now, it's correct that first the figures are saying that young people have voted, have registered more. But all of these figures will still be subjected to that fees. And nobody is very sure of the outcome in terms of effect of AFIS on the different demographics. So until that is out, we probably may not have a reliable figure to begin to plan on. So we take this as a tentative figure. Being that as it may, I'm afraid that the youths, they play to the gallery. If you look at the primaries of the various political parties, you will see that the youths they forgot entirely the biting issues of the nation now, and they voted for immediate gratification. And the same youths are showing such tendencies. They will play to the gallery by the time the main elections will come. It's clear that the youths will participate more in voting.
We lost Otiasa Christian there. Otiasa Christian, our apologies. But again, Otiasa Christian has raised a very valid point. And the point is raised is that the youth may play to the gallery. Unfortunately, the primaries of the elections are over. And again, well, many people have emerged. So, but the question is, do the youth know the ideologies of these politicians and these political parties? And Otiasa, if we have you back, we would appreciate that. But let me just quickly come to, I'll come to you quickly. But Obina, first, somebody said, are you surprised that even in River State, we have the female constituting the highest number of registered voters? And again, from the statistics, what we have so far released by INEC is 225,480. That is the female. And that they constitute the highest number of registered voters in the just concluded continued voters registration exercise in River State. And here, Kennedy is saying to us that, look, Shegun, the primary purpose is just for identification, not because they want to vote.
I don't want to agree with him. Now, don't forget the National Identity Management Commission, is actually even still in the process of registering Nigerians, for the national identity cards. Now, if we didn't have that exercise ongoing, I would have probably agreed with him. So we have people who participated in that exercise, and who have also participated in this particular CVR. So it is not possible that someone who already has a national identity card is also going for a PVC, for the purpose of banking and identification. No, there is a greater motivation, and this motivation.
So again, I'm very sorry. What could have been that motivation? Because you say primaries are over, and you heard Otiasa Christian. Even during the primaries, these young people voted for immediate gratification.
How many young persons? That's the question. How many young persons were delegates in the party primaries of the major parties, for instance? How many were the young persons? You still had a majority of the old persons, and the young persons we are talking about here are those who recently turned 18, between last year and now. The figures show that the highest number of our registrants are those between the ages of 18 and 24. How many of such persons participated in the delegates elections? I don't think even they may even be up to 5%, this particular figure. So young persons within this particular age demography, what I may want to accept is that there is a head movement.
Head movement led by who? Because again, one of the challenges, they don't have a common front. That's a big issue that a lot of people have talked about. That though, yes, they have the numbers. The statistics have shown that 10.3 million young people added to the voters' data in Nigeria. But again, do they have a common front to make the necessary changes?
What appears to be uniting young persons now is the need for a change at the center, a change, probably at the state level, that will prioritize the needs of young people in areas that have to do with education, in areas that have to do with employment, in areas that have to do with participation. This is something that appears to be a unifying factor.
Okay, let me come to Sam, because Sam has been speaking to people at the grassroots. Again, do you think this is a critical unifying factor? And when you look at the thinking of these young people, again, poverty is a very key issue. Here in River State, unemployment is a very huge one, though we'll be talking about that on the second leg of the show. So just like Ochiasa Christian said, that many of these young people are willing to trade that power they have now for immediate gratification. Is that correct analysis?
Shegun, let me start by responding to the first caller. It will not be fair to say that the women who participated in the CVR did so because they need it for bank whatever. Of course, the name, the national ID card is for even those below 18, if you are writing jobs, so that is even more authentic. Why you see more women participate this time around from the record shows is the new consciousness, because the people now know that vote will count.
So, but again, that has always been a promise by INEC over time. Even before now, INEC has always promised that the vote will count. So
that is why organized labor and civil society have taken it as a campaign. People should know why they should not say their vote. People should know why they should vote. People should know whom they should vote for.
Do they know? Do they know why? Do they know why they should vote? And do they know why they should vote for a particular person or a particular political party? Do they know? And that's a question there. Paul is laughing. Barrister Paul Arochukwu, yes.
You see, you have harped on ideology here severally.
Yes.
Vis-a-vis the youth. Ideology is not something created in the bowel of a political power by grey-headed men. Ideology is nothing but a system of ideas articulated and internalized, which forms the basis of changing society. Simply put. And therefore, the ideology, the unifying ideology among the youth is the idea of change. Change in terms of trying to bring economic dividends, employment, healthcare, education, and other social variables that assist their life and aspiration. That is the unifying factor. Look, youths, Nigerian youths are a vulnerable segment of our polity. Very, very vulnerable. Now they are at home doing nothing as a result of an astral strike, and the government seems not to understand what to do with us. Now, when you talk about crimes, they are the ones who go into crime, various forms of crime, because of a government that have not responded to their wishes and desires. So, and just as I said before, now than ever, the social media has helped to create a buoyant and robust political discussion at all levels. That there is a unifying factor, there is a voice of change among the youth. And remember that this attitude of the youth is not unique to the Nigerian youth. A point comes in the life of many nations, even before now in African nations. We are a generation that has suffered hardship and marginalization, choose to take their destiny by their hands. What has triggered the current consciousness of the youth? It is the failures of government at all levels in recent time, which seem to have been compounded the failures of government in the past. So the youths doesn't understand why their government and the democratic government have not been able to respond to their wishes, because the youths are there on social media and see what their contemporaries in Europe and North America is enjoying. And they have been made to understand that there is enormous resources here, and they have seen corruption at work. So they don't understand why they could not they could not enjoy life, why they could not enjoy the dividends of democracy, good life and service delivery from government as much as their contemporaries in Europe and North America. So that is why a generation, if you find out that the generation that is leading this revolution are mostly people born in the late 90s and early 2000s. They are impatient, yes. But you tell me that what is it's like people who are asking what is the structure. Humans constitute structure. Humans make up ideas. Humans make civilizations. Change comes through humans. Spontaneous reactions come from a segment of the society after a long time of oppression, and they wish to liberate themselves. And that is what is happening here.
Now, we'll be looking at that in context of River State. And again, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to Point Blank, coming to you from Super 93.3 FM, Port Harcourt. Nigeria has added more than 10 million new voters to its election register, and most of those added are young people between the ages of 18 to 34. And that shows that there is a consciousness among these young people. And again, politicians also strategizing, and politicians are aware that they must win the block vote of these young people if they have to win election. In Rivers State, in 2019, Rivers State had 3.21 million registered voters. Rivers State added 473,924 fresh voters, according to the just concluded registration exercise by INEC. And this has shown that Rivers State has about 3.68 million voters. And of course, this number may be pruned down a bit because there's still going to be a forensic audit of the just concluded CVR. But again, from that percentage, over 60% of them are young people, also between the ages of 18 and 34. And we're asking a point blank this morning, these young people, do they know what to do with the power they have? For example, in Rivers State, not many of the politicians are telling the young people what they want to do and how they're going to do what they want to do. Again, are the young people asking the right questions? Do they have the temperance? Do they have the patience to stay put in the process of electioneering? And again, Rivers State is a bit difficult because the Independent National Electoral Commission has said Rivers State is one of the states with lowest collection of PVCs. So we are asking, why do they bother to register if they would not collect the PVCs? And I've been speaking to Obinna Igbokidi, who is the focal person of Yaga Africa. And also Mike Chikere is also with us in the studio. Mike is also, Sam rather. Sam Chikwedi is with us as the state chairman, Campaign for Transformative Governance. And also I've been speaking to Arochukwu Paul Ogbonna, who was the national coordinator, Civil Rights Council, and we've been having this discussion. We just have about 10 minutes more. Quickly, let's look at what people are saying on the social media. Comrade Clinton Eric, consciousness awareness lies within the stated age bracket. Youth are angry. Like you mentioned, there are no jobs for these youth after graduation, and the only way to register their protest is to get registered to vote. Rivers State in particular has failed Rivers youth to pay bursaries for 7 years, no employment scheme for 7 years, no employment despite civil servants retiring every year. We will register our protests with our votes. We are smart, that's what he said. And thank God, Ability Uchuegwu, it's quite unfortunate that none of the youth is contesting for the forthcoming presidential election. Imagine our youth supporting a presidential candidate of 70 years and above. Well, Jonah Okpabi Jr., good morning, Shegun. Please tell your guest to give the breakdown of the registration per local government. Well, again, that is a very critical demand. We have also tried to get the breakdown per local government, but again, that's not available to us by the Independent National Electoral Commission. But again, if we could get it from INEC, we'll get it. Maybe, Obinna, you want to speak to that?
I believe if we engage INEC in Rivers, we'll be able to get that sometime by next week. That should be a public document that should be made available.
So we will get to the statistics by next week. We tried to get it local government by local government, but again, that statistic was not ready. So good morning, sir. Watching live from Port Harcourt City. Well, thank you so much for watching us. And Kwate Magnus, good morning, Shegun. I think the level of youth participation in politics vis-a-vis PVC registration in Rivers State is large and really encouraging. I want to congratulate these young people and want to say they should keep it up. However, having the ideology and asking the right question is key, especially here in Rivers State, because come 2023, it won't be business as usual, where politics do anyhow. And Beke Dumbari, good morning, Shegun. This discussion is late. They ought to have done this before the primaries, not even if the youth come out with a block vote, is still infinitesimal because the wrong deed have already been done. And good morning, Shegun. I greet your guest in the studio, Edith Young Indem from Aleto Element Petrochemical. I really concur with Mr. Obinna. It's not about youth topping the highest PVC collection. Will they come out and collect their PVC for crying out loud? Good morning, Shegun. I thank the youth for making it a duty to participate in the upcoming election. I'm certain with the new Electoral Act, parties will no longer have the dominant vote, significant power that have been given to them to individually decide the fate of candidates in an election. But again, gentlemen, let's come back to the studio. Let's situate this to Rivers State. And one of those who sent us a message said, it is unfortunate that the political parties have concluded their primaries. So, whichever way you look at it, it is what you present to the youth that it will give. And again, from what we've been saying, maybe just about one or two None of these candidates are saying anything. We know campaigning has not started, but again, the youth, are they even asking questions? Are they creating the needed forum? Are they creating the needed town hall meetings, the needed student union meetings to ask questions from this candidate? Maybe I should start with Sam.
Okay, Shego, you know...
And Sam, just 2 minutes, because this will be your last take.
Okay, you know, before now, what we have been having is the politician come and tell the youth, tell the people what they want to do. But now it's the other way around. The community people, the leaders, the stakeholders are the ones that are engaging the politician. This is what we want. For instance, in Orashi, our problem is this, flood or whatever. In Akinema, this is our problem. In this Ikwere, this is our problem. So at this point, at this town hall meeting, there is a robust time to discuss. You engage, know the problems of the people, even before the campaign. So when you are not coming for campaign, you know what to promise the people. And that will give the people the opportunity to look at which candidate to vote. And I can tell you, in coming election, you see people voting candidates, not just parties.
But again, for people to vote candidates, civil society like yours and that of Barrister Arochukwu here must step up your job. And again, this is one area that has been found wanting.
That is why the town hall meeting is on. That's why we began the town hall meeting, where community leaders, for where we are going to talk in the first place, the Rivers West, the community leaders, the party leaders, aspirant have been all invited, stakeholders have been invited, and it will give opportunity for them to discuss, look at issues as grand that are peculiar to the people and give answers to that.
So let me ask Barrister Ogbonna that same question, because you see, one of the things that must be done for us to see results using this number,
I want to mention one
I will come back to you, just to see this result, is for us to sustain and step up the voters' education. Many of these young people, yes, they've gone to register for the PVCs, but again, they don't even know what the political parties are saying, the ideologies of the political parties.
Well, the Campaign for Transformative Governance and their alliance have crafted political education programs that will continue between now to the election and after the elections in 2023. The idea is to create a platform for the people to be informed, to be educated on how to participate legally in the political process, so that their participation will be useful to themselves and the necessary change will be created and made. To do this, the community people are now going to engage the political actors, both state actors and political aspirants. The idea of the engagement is that they are trying to extract commitments, not just extract commitments from these people, but to get them to understand their peculiar and unique needs and get them to lobby, legislate, and work at their policies along the lines of these needs when they get into government. Okay. So they're not waiting for the politicians to come to them and sing the old song, which is, I will do this. But you are not only trying to tell the people how the people are not asking you the people are telling you what to do for them. But much more than that, you and the people will discuss whether those things are doable or not.
Again, that is the point. It is not what the politicians will come to tell the youth, but again, are they doable? Again, do they have the tenacity to ask that kind of question? Obinna, you are in that category. You are the impatient people. You are the fast guys.
Sir, you agree with me that the times have changed.
Okay.
Before now, you had a situation where youths used to be pushed, in fact, literally begged to be part of the process. Politicians used to make buses available for people to participate in the political process. But what you're having now is that people are even spending their money to be a part of the process. Now, so I want to believe greatly. We are having those that have been accused of being members of only the social media community. Now translate that into real active, real life participation. So there will be a lot of platforms for young persons to engage those who are ready, to secure the votes of this very important category, in the upcoming elections. So those ones who are ready, because now the people are the ones who are interested in listening to them. Those ones that are running away, they are going to be doing that, to their own detriment.
Okay, so gentlemen, we'll be ending this particular segment, but I'm just going to give you 60 seconds each, and because I just wanted to have a sneak participation into what's going on into the next segment. According to the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, in 2022, it shows that there are about 1.7 unemployed young people in River State, and this is a very critical challenge for the youth. The youth are poor, they are unemployed, and we always know politicians with who they are. They can use that as a tool against the youths. So maybe I should start with Sam. How can the youths shun those kind of things in 60 seconds?
Sure, like I've stated before, it's a new consciousness.
A new consciousness.
Yeah, the youth have woken up. And you can see that demonstrated in the manner they responded to the CVR. So I don't, youth are ready to take their destiny in their hand this time around. I don't see any politician going to joke with them. They will, even among the parties, there is a message that stand, vote, and stand by your vote.
Okay, we'll see how that works. And the barrister Arochukwu.
Well, the truth of the matter is that what the politicians, or what you suspect or think the politicians will do as they have, is an advantage to the youth because they have done it over and over again in the past, and the youth have seen the catastrophic consequences of accepting such tokens after when the government gets into power. And they built on that experience of yesteryears. Therefore, this time around, the youths are more resolved, more informed, more conscious to reject the temptation of trying to mortgage their future for a stipend. So it's that process in the past that gave back to this consciousness now.
So Obinna, for you.
I have to encourage the youth the same way they have started the CVRO. INEC will soon start the display of claims and objections. Those people who participated, who feel that we have errors in the spelling of their names, so something may have gone wrong in part of the registration, there's an opportunity to go and make those corrections. And then the PVC collection is extremely important. This energy, this momentum needs to be sustained and translated into actual votes. That is when we can beat our chest and say, indeed, Nigerian youths have arrived.
Fantastic. And there is a particular group in River State who is trying hard to sustain this momentum and energy. This particular group has launched a very creative initiative that would capture the database of unemployed youths in River State. And with that database, they want to challenge politicians. They want to challenge political parties. They want to challenge candidates in political parties to provide a desired solution for young people or risk losing the votes of these young people in River State. But how are they going to do it? How robust are their plan? And will it be successful? We'll be talking about that in the next segments of Point Blank. Stay with us. Point Blank will be back shortly after this break.